So let me talk in my specific diet. Since for me, animal products are rare and appropriate. So what I mean by rare and appropriate is it's people and places. It's not how often I eat something. So I'm not the person that says, I'm going to have sushi every 2 weeks, or I'm going to have whatever. It's people and places. So for example, with sushi, something I absolutely loved before. Now, if I eat it too often now, my diabetes comes back. Hate to ruin everybody's party. It may not happen for everybody, but I know because, I have a continuous glucose monitor. I know exactly what it is. Yeah, so, it's like right here. I know exactly what my blood glucose is at any minute. And so I know what it is, and I know that it comes back. But my son really loves to eat sushi. So for me, if he wants to go, and we'll go do that, because I don't tell my kids how to eat. They mostly eat like me, but, they eat whatever they want. And we'll go. I'll have a big roll of rice, or I'll have something before, that fills me up. Then maybe I have a couple of pieces. But we're having fun. We're doing that stuff. I don't go pig out on sushi. I just don't do that anymore. Or we make our own. So I make all the sushi that I do with mushrooms and lots of other things, which they love just as much, especially because you can eat as much as you want, and Bill's great, so it's inexpensive. I shop at the Asian store. So anyway, back to the food triangle. I eat on the right side of the food triangle, and I get nuts, seeds, and avocados often, I eat lots of fruits. I have fruits around all the time. I'm not glucophobic. Like all these people think it's sugar. Well, I don't eat refined sugars. But I eat that. If I want to sweeten something, I use a date. But what's really interesting is that as my diet has changed, my palate and my taste acuity has changed immensely. And, recently Penn Jillette's been posting on Facebook, and he's, said, he says, first he was saying I ruined him, and somebody corrected him, said I fixed him. But now, even in 8 months' time, he's eating these things, like making this big blowout for show, and he's not enjoying it as much as he did. I just don't enjoy those things anymore, so as much as I did. So I get those things, but what I'm not doing is I'm not doing the all-day eating thing. So I don't start with a smoothie and do this and do this and do this. I tend to compress my eating window. So I'm kind of naturally doing alternate day fasting or every other day eating or intermittent fasting because I'm just decreasing my meal frequency. And I eat a lot of food. You would not believe how much I'll eat. And that's why a lot of people say, oh yeah, I went vegan and everything started happening. Well, most people just don't eat enough food. Clearly we can live off this. Our primate cousins are fine. So that, there's not a debate there. And if you're eating junk food, the worst place to try to eat healthy food is a vegan restaurant because they basically just shake sugar, salt, and fat and put it on plants. Like the Western diets take sugar, salt, and fat and throw it on, meat and stuff. Meat is the delivery system for sauce. What it really comes down to it. So anyway, when I'm eating on that right side, what I try to do is decrease the frequency. And that's where I think it's kind of neat, because I do think, blending, for example, not juicing, but blending, and I know you're an advocate too.
You need the fiber.
I think, I get tons of fiber in my diet because I eat an enormous amount. But I think blending certainly ruptures the cells, certainly get more access. There's some studies, I think we need to do more on that. Where I'm excited is like this summer I did all hydroponics. Yeah, I grew all my greens, and I'll show you some of the pictures. But 2 weeks from seeds to harvest, I use the vertical earth garden. It's an amazing thing, and I'm growing. But where I think, what if we start stressing these plants and going to that next level, just going beyond even that?
So we need to probably explain a little bit of that. But first, I want to ask you, with your intermittent fasting, do you usually eat in the mornings, like evenings? When do you actually take in most of your food?
I'm not a morning person. I've never eaten in the morning. I get up early. My best thinking time is between, say, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. That's where I can really do. I taught myself a year and a half ago to sleep. I never could go back to sleep my whole life. So there's not very many times that I slept past 7 in my entire life. I'm like, even if I go to bed late, boom, my circadian clock's hard to get up. But I taught myself how to go back to sleep. So I've been trying to sleep, so I'm getting, like, I'm averaging right now, 8-9 hours, 8 or 9 hours of sleep. So
are you tracking your sleep?
yeah,
with like an app?
I'm tracking my sleeps. I'm tracking my sleep. So
is this like your own thing, or is this
no,
like an app?
this is the Withings app. This is the Withings Aura. So I have a whole suite of Withings things. They have the Aura that measures your sleep, the scale.
Can you spell that?
Withings, 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 and they have the sleep and this Active or whatever, the Pop. This guy measures sleep too. So I have that. I have they have a camera that measures VOC. Your scale measures CO2. So it's sort of interesting because it maps your environment, what kind of environment you're in. But I'm now sleeping way better. And we talked a little bit on your Facebook page about melatonin. We can get at that in a second too. But so I tend to eat in the evening, or in the afternoon, and I because I'm working out of my house, it's just when. So one of the things that I try to teach the people I work with is don't name a meal. Technically, the first meal of the meal is break fast. I'm going to break fast tomorrow, and it's going to taste really good. And then I don't need, naming meals is convenient for restaurants so they know what to serve you, right? But there's not time of day eating, and there's not time of day foods. It doesn't matter what you eat, where you are, or whatever. This idea that you're fueling your body for the day, just not true.
Well, the one aspect that I think, I think that is important, and that has to do with the circadian rhythm. So in the morning, you are the most insulin sensitive. In the morning, so the way our metabolic enzymes, they're going on a rhythm. So there is that component.
Right.
And the reason I'm sort of interested in it is because I also will practice intermittent fasting, and I'd like to talk about the aging aspects of that. But it used to be that I was fasting in the day and that I'd eat at night. And that's mostly because my husband, Dan, can't sleep if he doesn't eat something before bed. It's like he can't sleep if he's hungry.
Right.
And, there's some
people
truth to
like
that, right?
Yeah, no, there's some people that like that one.
Yeah, well, recently we were traveling in Europe for a while, and we were doing Airbnbs, and so we wouldn't have any food. If we were eating, we would eat mid to late afternoon, 3 or 4, the latest. And that was it. So then I was done and didn't eat, anything until the next day. Mm-hmm. And what I found is that I really felt really good doing that, which was the opposite. So I started not eating right before bed, whereas that's what I was doing originally.
So to back that up, talk about glucose. If you're eating starches in the evening, instead of getting those sharp peaks that you saw today, and the sharp people like this, you'll get tailing. So this is true. I mean, there's no doubt that you'll get tailing. The glucose doesn't clear as fast the later in the evening.
No, that's
so. I'm not talking about night. I'm talking about I may eat it 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then maybe I'll eat it 5 or 6 or 7. So I'm not a late.
Not
I don't eat a late.
PM.
No, I don't do that.
That's what's so dangerous about a lot of people. And there were times when I'm working late and I don't get home until 8 p.m. or 8:30, and then it's then I have to cook, and then dinner's not ready until 9:30, and it's that's too late.
And I have a weapon because I have this third option. Don't
eat.
and once I freed myself, I've been on a business trip for 2 days and came all the way home, and the only thing I had from the time I left to the time I came home was water.
Yeah,
and that seems radical, but having that option is a tool in our toolkit.
It is radical, but I agree with you. It doesn't have to be 2 days. It can just be that night for some people. And I do think that, I know several people that are late night eaters. They'll not eat in the morning because they're so busy and they have work. And it's not until, later in the evening, and then they end up eating around 10 o'clock at night. And, you're the most insulin resistant at 10 o'clock at night. Right. And then it's they have problems with, metabolism problems and weight loss and all these things, and I think that it's not healthy just based on what we know from circadian rhythm. Just based on that alone, we know that that's the time you're not supposed to eat. Right. You're not supposed to get all this glucose and fat, everything.
I can't wait till you see our paper, because we got some other explanations that will go along with this. Cool. That will actually it will superimpose well with this, and I completely agree.
So let's. I'd love if you would like to talk a little bit about caloric restriction or dietary restriction, which is what we now call it, and intermittent fasting, and I've seen some studies comparing the two in terms of longevity and how there's similar effects in almost every respect, in terms of the metabolic effects, glucose metabolism, in terms of brain atrophy, brain aging, multi-organ aging, all being delayed. The one difference that was found in this paper, and I forgot which group it was that did this, and it's pretty recent, was that when they challenged the brain with like some sort of neurotoxin that caused neuronal cell death, the intermittent fasting was protected, but the caloric restricted or dietary restricted was not. And they hypothesized with the ketone body, whatever.
And I haven't got into that part. So this is what I'm doing right now is my lead in. My point was, first, when we start with the idea of fasting and expand it beyond what you do to take a blood test. In other words, this idea that we're, quote, fasting every night, this is not where I'm going. So when we start the fact that here I am at 23 days and I'm fully functional, I don't feel bad. You guys have been with me, running upstairs, doing this stuff.
You're having this conversation.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, you do get a little foggy at some point. So you're not as on top of things. Like I told you earlier, words are more difficult. Just it's kind of interesting, certain things. But if we start from this basis that during this time, we have these amazing healing processes that happen. What I was telling you about blood pressure, 30-point drops in blood pressures in a matter of weeks. People with eczema and all those things that are different. So we have these amazing repair processes that are happening in the fasted state. And we fast forward.
Can we talk about why that is? I mean, that's been shown mechanistically in animal models and in monkeys, mice, monkeys. It's been shown that when you fast, it is a mild stress on the body. You had alluded to the hormesis, and that causes massive changes in gene expression. And many genes are increased that are involved in dealing with damage, repairing damage, anti-inflammatory, all that stuff's being turned on, go, 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 go.
And the body starts sequestering the things that it needs. The popular myth is, oh, your body's fasting, it's going to hold on to fat. No, it's not. That's your storage organ. It's going to use the fat. But the point is that for the stuff we're interested in, your body starts mobilizing. It starts cleaning house. Metabolically cleaning house, going in saying, here's a dysfunctional cell. I need these resources, need this. Just like what you do when you're trying to make things, you rob around.
Which is really, really, really good because those dysfunctional cells, as you call them, they're often senescent. Which means they're not dead, they're not alive, they're sitting around, and what are they doing? They're secreting
hormones.
They're making more, they're damaging cells nearby. So if you can do something to get rid of that crap, you better do it. And fasting, intermittent fasting, has been shown to do it.
So if we would get rid of the fasting term, meaning the overnight thing, so we lose that. We go to this extreme and say, look, the longest medically supervised water fast was 382 days. And that 382 days, 382 days, 276 pounds, 382 days. I'll send you the paper. Actually, I might have even posted it up on your thing. But it's 382 days, medically, in the middle...
Supplements or anything?
No,
just water?
They did a multivitamin. And then in the middle 49 days, they had to do some electrolytes. But other than that, he was fine. And he weighed 185 when he was done.
What did he start? What was his starting weight?
Well, he lost 276 pounds.
Okay, so we had a lot of fat to burn.
Yeah, absolutely. He had the energy. Right.
That's important, right?
Yeah, no, he's not.
If I were to do 308, I think I'd
I don't know. There's probably some breatharians down the street that would disagree with us, right?